Whoops. What's up, everybody? I'm Matt,
I'm Andy.
and this is episode
You
30.
sound so unconfident.
Yeah, so this is episode 39 of the Infinity Flux letters page. And yeah, so we're having to do this a little bit differently because we're doing some work to our Google accounts, like our Gmail and like cleaning up our Gmail account, cleaning up our YouTube and stuff like that. And it caused a little bit of a mess with StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing it old school with OBS, streaming out to YouTube, and we are live on TikTok as well. But it just means that we are not live on Facebook, and we can't pop up the chat, right? Like, there's no way to. Like Nowhere Productions, I see where you say, "Hey guys, how are you doing?" But yeah, we can't pop this up. So like, yeah, this is old school. Um, Bummer. Okay. So I guess we can just do this right. Let's.
Well, as long as we can see the comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So sorry, guys. We're until we get this, until we get the thing with shoot, until we get the thing with Streamyard fixed, we're gonna have to maybe just do it this way.
Which should be by the next
Come on.
time we do it.
Yeah. Hopefully. I just want to lay it up like that.
There we go.
Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, so we won't be able. We see you in the chat. We appreciate you being here, but we won't be able to pop it up. I guess I could like add
We'll
it.
respond
Yeah,
how
we
we
will
can.
respond in kind. I like being able to click though.
I'm surprised it doesn't have that feature.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like everybody hasn't copied it by now. Like, oh, you can click a thing and pop it in the chat. But there's no. I could have sworn there was a way to do that. Anyway, we'll figure it out later. But yeah, so we're doing it a little bit old school today, but we appreciate you guys being here. Sorry that we were not able to stream last week, but I was sick. I was sick all week long. Could not get over it,
You may
and
have seen a hint of that in one of our last videos.
yeah. Monday, I've just got a little bit of a cough left, but everything's mostly good now. But just in case that happens again, I did bring some cough drops just in case. Yeah, so yeah, we're live on YouTube, we're live on TikTok. We don't have Instagram right yet, or we don't have Instagram right now, and we don't have Facebook because StreamYard's messed up. But
Mm-hmm.
we're here on YouTube and TikTok. So, Red Hood on TikTok says I should be there. Come on by. We're here all the time. So yeah, we don't have a whole lot of stuff planned for today, but we didn't want to push this off another week. But we have a couple of things we could talk about. But before we do, let's do what we do every week and talk about our pick of the week. I don't have the little graphic or anything this time, so
Pick of the week.
yeah.
Just have a Sharpie and a piece of paper and just like hold up the different segments and scribble out people's comments and hold
Right.
them
Yeah.
up.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Nowhere Production says hi, guys. Let me write that down real quick and then hold it up. Yeah. What was your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. Because, like I said on one of our other videos, when you do a Wolverine comic well, it could be one of my favorite things. I think this was done really well. I think whether it's a big tie-in with the Armageddon event in the summer, I don't really care because I thought it was really good. It was really
Yeah.
fun. Some great action, just some great Wolverine stuff in it. Yeah, that's my pick of the week.
Yeah, you could peel the Armageddon label off the top of it, and it would still just be a cool Wolverine story. I've been thinking about this one since Monday, and I feel like maybe I feel like Fantastic Four #8
Yep.
is my pick of the week this week. Even though this, which is crazy to say because this is a week where we have Absolute Batman. But I thought Absolute Batman was very, very, very good, but it didn't just knock me out of my seat like a lot of the other issues do. But this one, I just thought it was. I thought Fantastic Four was awesome. Nowhere Productions haven't read any new comics this week. I've been reading a lot of Superman for all seasons and Secret Origin. Oh, dude, those are some great
Secret
stories.
Origin is probably my favorite standalone Superman, just like unit.
Yeah.
I love Secret Origin.
Yeah, you could read, you could do Secret Origin. You could read Birthright if you want another origin story. Superman Up in the Sky is one of my favorite Superman stories. Superman Smashes the Klan. I mean, there is no shortage of good Superman stories. So, Don't worry about not reading anything this week. You've already got you're already reading some great books, so just keep forging ahead on that. But yeah, I just thought Fantastic Four was just, I don't know what it was. It was, I like it when your typical superhero story just completely takes a left turn.
Yeah.
And this one was like, oh, it's the origin of the Fantastic Four. Oh, they're studying Sue's powers. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't originally happen that way. So
Yeah, it was one of those fun things where you're reading along, you're like, oh, hey, it's cool. They're giving us Sue's origin,
yeah,
and then you start questioning, like, well, wonder when that happened. I might have not read that
right.
story, and I think it's one of those comics where like I didn't see what was coming next,
Well,
and that's such kind of a rare thing now
yeah.
to be really surprised.
And as I was reading it, they were talking about, well, if Sue can bend light, then she should be able to manipulate other like wavelengths or whatever.
Mhm.
And for a minute, I was like, now come on, guys, you're making her way too overpowered. She's already insanely overpowered, and you're doing it even more so, not realizing that I didn't understand where the story was going at the time. But yeah, so I think that one's probably my pick of the week, and then maybe Absolute Batman after that, followed very narrowly by Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon. Grizzlebees, what's going on? How you doing? For those just joining us, we are streaming old school today because we are having trouble with our StreamYard account. So we don't have any of the bells and whistles on the screen, like popping up your comments or anything like that. We're just riding high in OBS right now. uh, you know the way our ancestors did. Just read the Absolute Batman number 17. It was really good. Yeah, I thought it was really really good. Absolutely, especially with first appearance of Poison Ivy. But it was just one. I don't know. It just didn't blow me away. I just thought it was a really good comic book. But
Yeah,
Fantastic Four, I was like, whoa, this is giving me something I've never seen before. Arkham on TikTok says, I bet your League of Comic Geeks accounts are stacked. I mean, I use CLZ to track my collection. I do hit the plus button in Comic Geeks just to add everything to my collection or whatever. But CLZ is my go-to app for tracking my collection.
yeah.
And
I only use League of Comic Geeks just to look at like variants and stuff of
yeah,
stuff that's come out. I should probably keep better track of what I'm doing, but yeah, if I do it, I use CLZ, and then I just use like, I have an account at our store at Infinity Flux, and that's how I deal with
yeah,
subscriptions and all that kind of thing. So, uh, I feel like I'm not as like tech heavy in the like comic managing and all that as probably a lot of people who shop here are.
yeah.
Also, I think people think that like, oh, your pull list must be huge. It's really not. I mean, it's
Not
probably bigger than like just someone who gets like one or two books, but
yeah.
it's not like I'm subscribed to every single thing coming out. There was a time where I was that, but I've definitely pared it
Well,
down.
I mean, back in like 2021, I think I was going hog wild. I was buying everything, all the indie books. I mean, it was literally too
I
much.
know you were a great customer.
I still am, right?
Eh.
On the omnibuses. Grizzlebees, I got the Absolute Martian Manhunter trade, another good one. Nowhere Productions, I find myself enjoying DC more than Marvel nowadays. Seems the older I get, the more I resonate with DC stories. Still love Marvel a lot though. So I was thinking about this the other day, the whole Marvel and DC thing, and right
Which is
now
not a
it's not
competition.
a competition. But right now, I do agree that I'm enjoying more DC books than I am Marvel books. And Marvel does make some boneheaded decisions sometimes, and I keep thinking, why do we need that mini series? Why do we need the new champions, right? Why do we need these other kid heroes when we have two other groups of kid heroes? That kind of thing, right? But I was thinking about it, and Marvel has a lot of bright spots right now that I feel like get overshadowed by their
Almost like their PR for stuff. Like Ultimate Endgame right now, I think is fine.
yeah,
It's not the like blockbuster event of the year. It could turn into that. We've just began. We don't even have issue 3 yet. But like we said, not a lot of people are talking about Fantastic Four.
right,
And it is a super bright spot. And I do think the regular ongoing X-Men book is really good, but there's so many X-Men books
yep,
that they kind of drag down, at least in like people's minds, the ones that are really good.
right,
And I think that's unfair because we even talked about that the other day of like, oh, when we read books for our Monday show, we're like, we've got so much Marvel to read. But it's because they have so many books out
Yes.
that it feels like, oh, another thing that it kind of pulls down my entire thoughts about a lot of their books, even though some of my favorite books are some of their books right
Yeah.
now.
They have, I mean, they do a whole lot more number ones than DC does, which means we have to read the number ones and maybe the number twos and threes. So that's why I think we read a lot more Marvel because, yeah, it's just sheer quantity. But Marvel does have a lot of bright spots. And it just gets overshadowed by their, less than stellar decision making sometimes. Like, I mean, Fantastic Four is I think their best book. You've got Captain America,
Captain
which
America.
is great. Infernal Hulk, I think, is really cool, and the current Thor book, I think, is good. And like you said, X Men, the mainline X Men, I think, is really, really good. But
It's
it's
probably the best X Men has been in years.
yeah,
Like the
I think
main
so,
X Men title is like since probably House and Powers of X. I think
probably.
I've probably enjoyed this more than any of
Yeah,
the Krakoan era
yeah.
stuff.
It's just, but it's bogged down with, but there's also Uncanny X Men and Exceptional X Men and X Force, all this stuff. But yeah, like the main X Men book is really good. I feel very optimistic about the new Punisher coming out next week. I feel very optimistic about
Daredevil.
the new Daredevil that's coming soon. Iron Man is off to a great start with its new number one. Spider Man is the one that could use some work, which is crazy because it's Amazing Spider Man. It's their flagship book, but I just and they're putting out stuff that I'm also not loving either, but they do have a lot of good stuff, and I feel like and I'm part of it too. I feel like Marvel probably does get a little bit of an unfair shake at things because they're not completely knocking everything out of the park like DC is, but they are hitting some. I'm losing my baseball analogy, but they are. They are doing some really good stuff, but people were
They
focusing
also
on the
just throw a lot more stuff at the wall.
right.
I feel like DC kind of like goes, okay, like tactically, here's a book that like challenges the unknown. It's weird, but you go, oh, I see why this is tied in with this or
Yeah.
whatever. Marvel's like, hey, here's like Spider-Man Torn. Here's so many of these other like little things that are like maybe not necessarily tied in with a thing or super important. And I think one of the problems is that Marvel does have so much stuff that they promote things heavily at the start and they don't continue to promote them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of stuff just kind of fizzles and you forget like, oh yeah, that's still coming out.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that their best line, the ultimate books, there's still something weird going on with all of that stuff. It just feels like they weren't ready to end, and then all of a sudden they are. So there's something weird with that. So it doesn't help that they fumbled like some of their best books right now. Like they're fumbling the ending of those, and
Mm-hmm.
but I mean there is some good stuff out there. So I really try to focus on that. Nowhere Productions, even stuff I didn't expect to like. I love like the new Sirens book with Calendar Man. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the new Sirens Love Hurts. Yeah, that's yeah. I feel like they're being a little bit more like you said, like strategic. DC is about what we're putting out and
Maybe what's not represented, so now we can like hit that.
yeah. Plus they've earned it too. Like with the Next Level books, we just posted our comics to pre-order in a flash video, and on FOC this weekend is Lobo, Batwoman, and Deathstroke. Those aren't necessarily A-listers, but DC's earned it.
Yeah.
They told us on a call that they've done so much with Batman and Superman, and they've done so much to kind of prop those guys up and get those books right. Now they want to apply that same sensibility to maybe slightly lesser known characters or slightly less popular characters, and yeah, they totally earned the right to do that. What's up, Vixen on TikTok? That ending to Ultimate Spider-Man was more satisfying than what I thought it would be. Yeah, it just
I think it's just like it comes with that shadow of and that's all.
yeah,
Because yeah, like that last like I love they gave so much time to Peter and Mary Jane at
yeah,
the very end of that. I thought that was a really smart choice because that's kind of what's kept that series. That is the first thing people mention when they
yeah.
talk about that book. So to give that a good point, I think was really good. The Kingpin and Mr. Negative stuff I liked that, but it was also like I felt like there was more story here, and we just had to wrap this up.
I feel like they wouldn't have done what they did if it weren't ending.
Right.
Yeah.
Even that said, I did like the ending. I do wish it came out before Ultimate Endgame number
Yeah.
one because that just felt more natural.
Yeah.
It felt weird to go like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back mentally a couple of months and then
Yeah.
revisit where I was when the previous one came out. But I do think it gave the satisfying ending of what we wanted from it. Because I think if it was an all out action ending and then like we didn't really revisit Peter and Mary
Yeah.
Jane, that I would have thought would have been a worse ending.
Yeah.
So I do like the ending we got. I just wish it wasn't an ending.
Right. Nowhere Production says, I gotta go. I just want to say I love your channel. Keep up the fantastic work. Comics from the Future is my favorite show. Very cool.
Awesome.
Well, stay tuned for this Friday because it's going to be a big one. There's a lot of
Fix
stuff on
yourself a
FOC.
little meal,
Yeah.
sit down, enjoy it, because it's probably going to be a pretty dense one
Yeah.
with
Oh my gosh.
Lobo and Deathstroke and Batwoman and Battle Beast number 7.
Web of Venom.
Web of
And there's some
Venom.
cool new indie stuff. We've got some number 2s and 3s. And yeah, this Friday's Comics from the Future is going to be crazy.
The Reign of the Superboy stuff that's
Yeah.
continuing on that we are still have a lot of questions about, but sounds really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, this ending to Ultimate Spider-Man, you know, my biggest gripe now that it's over, you know, I look back and I'm like, oh gosh, 2 years worth of Spider-Man books and Spider-Man was barely in any of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we got this finale. I'm like, that's the Spider-Man I want. Okay, they finally finished the big Kingpin story. Now we're gonna get a lot of Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man. Oh wait, no, it's over.
Yeah.
So it's like it was a 2 month. I mean, really, it's and I've said this before. It's a Harry and Gwen book.
Yeah.
Like the book was about Harry and Gwen guest starring Spider-Man every so often.
Yeah.
Which so that does kind of you know that does kind of tarnish my opinion of it a little bit, knowing that it's over. Or assuming that it's over anyway, and knowing that we probably won't ever get this version of Spider-Man again.
I don't want to get into spoilers for the last issue too heavily, but I do think the story arc of Harry felt like it was going somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then it did. It was kind of like at least what happens with like the AI system inside of his suit and all that just felt like okay, I made a decision about it. And it was
Yeah.
like, I felt like there was something bigger there. Like, you know, we had the theory of like, maybe the suit will like control itself and that will be like almost like a AI controlled Norman Osborn inside
Yeah.
the suit. Or all the stuff they were building up with Richard and the Venom suit kind of didn't equal up to the like we saw Venom twice.
Yeah.
Like once in that big fight scene the first time we saw him, and then he shows up for like half a second in this issue.
But why does he do that? Why does he look like that?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of explanation for why that was done. Maybe Hickman had a better idea that this was ending. I do think some of the other books they were a little blindsided by I think Ultimates.
Well, Ultimates, like, yeah, you can tell that, like, because Dennis Camp is still introducing new things.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you've only got 3 issues left. Well, you're just now doing this, but I really feel like he wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not his fault. Like, they blindsided him, I think.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm not sure. I think Ultimate X-Men was such its own thing that Peach Momoko probably had a pretty good idea of where this was going. I don't know if that was ever going to really tie into the overall story.
Yeah.
But Ultimate Black Panther also seemed like it kind of had to start tapping the brakes a little earlier than it intended to. Just when they were all kind of getting to their big, like, this is going to be a big villain for this, it suddenly had to go like, whoa, we can't explore that as much as we wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, even in this last issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, like with Harry, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like it still feels like there's more. Like even in this issue, it's like, oh, they're dropping hints at a future story that is never gonna come.
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
Well, supposedly. I mean, we'll see what happens with what's it called? Reborn Ultimate Impact.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the
yeah, we'll see what happens with that and with Armageddon, and
I think that's going to be more related to Armageddon than it is the Ultimate. I think it's going to have more to do with the origin boxes and more to do with how they are dispersed into the Armageddon event than it's going to have anything to do with the actual Ultimate Universe.
I feel like, you know, I'm still a little bit skeptical that the Ultimate Universe is really ending, but I feel like I'm getting there more now.
Mm.
Every day that goes by, I'm like, oh, actually, I do think this is it.
Mm.
And I feel like Marvel loves their one shots and their miniseries. I feel like maybe like a year from now, Marvel will release like a 1 year anniversary of the end of Ultimate Spider-Man one shot, or something like
Yeah,
that.
and it'll just be a story that takes place at some point during
Yeah,
his time as Spider-Man,
yeah,
but it's not like a continuation. That could happen. There still could be some hope for it because you can start it back up by just releasing one it's not like, oh, the door shut for that, we can never revisit it. And I do think, I don't know if it'll be soon or in 10 years, we'll see the word ultimate something again
yeah.
because that's just a thing Marvel has.
Well, with the original Ultimate Universe, well, I got to be careful about what I say, but you know, we can't really go back and visit it because supposedly it was done with Secret Wars, although there was the weird story where it's actually not gone, but they never went back and revisited that. But unless something crazy happens in Ultimate Endgame, this Ultimate Universe, it'll just always be there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess we could always go back to it at some point, but
It is weird that Secret Wars, the what 2000
2015,
2015
yeah,
Secret Wars does feel like a bigger story than Ultimate Endgame
right,
as a finale for an
yeah,
Ultimate Universe. To be fair, like the Ultimate Universe in 2015 had been going on for since 1999,
2000 is when
2000.
Spider-Man came out. Yeah,
Yeah, so it'd been going on a lot longer, so it kind of did need a bigger conclusion.
yeah,
But it still felt like you do need something of that magnitude to convince people that the door is shut. And I still don't see that in Ultimate Endgame. What's going to be the like, and we can never go back,
right.
So I don't know.
Well, especially since Ultimate Endgame, like 2 issues in, and not a whole lot's happened.
It's pretty small in
Yeah,
scope.
it's pretty. It feels like yes, kind of small potatoes. I mean, I know there's been a couple battles inside the dome with the Makers, weird people, but at the end of Ultimates 2, the heroes were right back where they started at the beginning of Ultimates 1. So it's like, all right, you just spent 2 issues not pushing the story forward whatsoever, except for when Doom or not Doom Maker popped up at the end.
Maker
But
popped up at the end, and Immortus gave them kind of a job of like, hey, you can. That he sent that machine away.
true,
It like
yeah,
disappeared, and he's like, maybe go find the machine or something. But even that was very vague. Of like, I had to go back and look to be like, oh, I see where that happened because it was kind of in the background, and I kind of missed the overall like what was all of that about?
yeah,
Like it just seemed like everything like abruptly ended. Um, I'm hoping this next issue kind of like clears like someone just like walks like step by step like here's what happened and now here's what we've got to do
right,
because I feel like the book kind of needs that. It's a lot of like looking around be like whoa this is crazy but
yeah.
it's like but you don't what you got in the dome you didn't really know what you were going to do. You thought you were going to fight the Maker or something and that didn't happen. So what's your goal now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. There's only 3 issues left too, so we got to hurry up and figure that
Start
out. What is it?
swinging some fists.
Well, wait a minute though. Is it? Did it get delayed? Because I thought it was ending in April, but number 3 is March, and then 4 is April. Isn't it 5 or 4 issues?
I thought it was going to be over before Free Comic Book Day.
It's the beginning of May. Maybe there's only 4 issues. Maybe Ultimate Endgame's only 4.
I don't know. If only we had something that could tell
Yeah,
us
if only we had like the power of
of a
the
magical
internet
box
in
that
front of our fingertips. And sorry that we can't like put this up. Um, let's see, FOC for next week. Ultimate Endgame number, whoops, yeah, 3, and then boom, 5 in June.
June. So May doesn't even have an issue.
No, okay, so yeah, this according to Comic Geeks, Ultimate Endgame number 5 comes out June 3rd, which is right around the time of that's when Armageddon starts, is in June.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, okay, so I mean, we do have the free comic book day or the comic giveaway book, the comic giveaway day book in May, which will maybe fill a little bit of a gap. But yeah, the universe hangs by a thread as our weary heroes face their final crushing challenge. The ultimate cataclysmic showdown with the Maker. Everything they fought for, everything they believe in, will be tested in this pulse pounding, oversized final issue. There are no more retreats, no more second chances.
I also wonder if Spider-Man's going to survive this because he's not on covers after a certain point.
You talking about riots in the streets? I don't know. I don't even want to think about that. That's I don't want to believe that Marvel is that. We talk about them making bad decisions. I don't want to think about that. So yeah, we'll see what's to come with the Ultimate Universe. Didn't mean to sort of segue off into the Ultimate stuff, but just talking about Marvel's blunders, but also their good stuff, and I feel like they are. Everything they're doing with the Ultimate Universe is kind of a blunder right now, but they do have good stuff, and that's what I'm trying to focus on. Um, so I saw a TikTok from Stephanie Phillips, and she said that she found out the sales numbers for her Daredevil #1, and she didn't say what they were, but she said, "Oh my gosh!"
Oh
She
wow!
like she gave an indication that it was huge. And there was the other video she posted about that Chip Zdarsky and Charles Soule was in and were in, and Chip Zdarsky said, "Oh yeah, I found out that sales for the new Daredevil #1 were way higher
Yeah,
than any of mine, or something like that." So yeah, I have high hopes for Daredevil
I'm very
coming.
excited about that. Um, so also we've got Comics Pro that started
Yeah.
today. I guess it started today. I don't know if Comics Pro has like a previews night or anything like that. Um, but
Where did you see that on AIPT or?
yeah, AIPT had it. Um, but there is a chance that we'll get some interesting announcements because Comics Pro is a little bit more comics focused as a con to like
Well,
comic book stores and that
yeah.
kind
I
of
mean, it's
thing.
it's it's not even a convention for. I mean, it's in the traditional sense. It's more for
Yeah,
retailers. But they do make announcements there because they have to let retailers know, hey,
yeah.
here's some of the things coming.
We've got
So
a few announcements, like Gail Simone writing a She Spawn series.
yeah,
But I'm gonna guess probably tomorrow or maybe Friday we'll get some. I don't know when
maybe
like the main event is.
maybe Friday and Saturday
Mm-hmm.
possibly. Um, yeah, I was trying to see. I mean, yeah, there hasn't because today I think it started today, so they didn't really talk. They
If you go
haven't
to,
talked.
they don't always put it at the top. So if you go to the news, the
Oh,
comics and news,
oh, comics and news. Yeah.
that's where I saw most of the stuff.
Well, one of the crazy things that we were talking about this earlier is like comics are selling out, and it's not just the big two.
Yeah,
We have the Florida Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre #1 sells out. White Sky,
White
I think,
Sky
is sold
sold
out.
out. I'm gonna guess that's gonna go to second printing, and the other one, the I can't remember the name of it. The Andrew McLean, basically
Oh
Contra.
yeah, yeah, right. I read. We talked about it on Monday. I don't remember the name. Death Fight, or Death something like that.
Yeah,
Um, Good job, non big two books
yeah.
for having awesome stories.
Not to mention Dork.
Yeah, Dork. Oh,
Um,
Dork was huge.
Dork #1 is going to a third printing. That's going to be on FOC this week.
Okay.
Um,
Third printing already?
third printing. Second printing was on last week's, I think, or week before last. And already the third printing because people are ravenous for the second printing
Yeah.
now. So that is awesome. I mean, of course, first printing completely sold out.
Yeah.
But when you see books like that that are not tied to an announcement about like this was option for a movie or whatever, just the fact that a comic sells out on word of mouth or like good reviews or whatever, and that people aren't necessarily getting it for like monetary value, but because hey, I heard this was really cool.
Yeah.
I
That's what
think
I like.
that is the health of a comic
Yeah.
industry is people selling out a book because they want to read it.
Yeah.
And that is super cool.
Larry Smith, I see you in chat late, but I'm here. Thanks for being here. We're streaming kind of old school. We're having trouble with our StreamYard account, which gives us all the bells and whistles. So we're streaming old school through
I got him.
just straight through YouTube right now. So we're on YouTube and TikTok, but hopefully we'll get that straightened out by the next live stream. Liminal coherence on TikTok. We talking about White Sky or Dork? Yes, both.
Both, yeah, both of them sold out. Um, we haven't heard. I don't know if there's been an official announcement of a White Sky second printing.
I'm
But
sure it'll come.
if it hasn't already been announced somewhere,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come because it's already sold out. Yeah, and Dork selling out. The Hippopotamus Cocaine Massacre sold out. Um, I don't think this is the last of new number ones in the next coming weeks that are going to sell out. That's
Are we sold out of some of those?
all of them.
It was funny because we're sold out of those before we sold out of Absolute Batman.
Yes,
But that's not because Absolute Batman's bad. It's just you ordered
we
a ton
ordered a
of them.
lot
We ordered a ton
because
of them. Yeah.
we're tired of selling out
Right.
really fast. But that's also another reason why like pre-ordering stuff is super important. Um, Even if you're kind of on the fence about something, I would recommend pre-ordering indie books because, um, like either way, you're supporting kind of a independent creators thing.
Yeah.
So even if you don't love it, it's still cool to pre-order number ones of stuff. Like I got Dork number one. I wish after reading White Sky that I pre-ordered it because I really liked it. And I think
I
that's going
liked
to
it
be
a
a
lot.
really
Yeah.
cool story. So yeah. Oh, and so you're saying your LCS.
Yeah. How none of my LCS within a 60-mile radius had a single copy of White Sky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard earlier today from a customer that someone, a website made the Hippopotamus Massacre their pick of the week, so that could have contributed to it. I didn't hear a lot about White Sky,
Yeah.
um, other than us, reviewing it, but we had a decent amount because I remember like seeing it, thinking that's pretty cool, and just that we sold out this morning, like
Yeah.
before basically the doors were open, we were sold out of it is crazy, but also really good.
Well, and what confuses me about White Sky, and this is going to sound horrible, and I don't mean it to sound this way, but why? Because it is an awesome concept, right? Like
Yeah,
a haunted planet, right? Instead of a post-apocalyptic planet that's haunted instead of being zombies. But the first issue, I mean, it was pretty quick read. Like
it's a
I mean,
pretty quick read.
it's a bit of a setup. There's not a whole lot going on in the first issue anyway. So I guess people are excited for the overall story to come.
The concept, I think there's the moment where um the things kind of come out of the
Yeah,
ground and you go like, whoa, that's a crazy looking design. And now the things I know about zombies or vampires or whatever
yeah,
don't apply here. I
right.
don't know what's gonna happen
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this or where these are from. I think that's cool, but I do think I am surprised that I think it would have sold out after people had read it.
right.
Because I think it, then it's more interesting. Once you read it, and then you tell a friend about it. But I don't know on the front end how people heard about kind of that. Hey, this is good, and you should check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I really, really liked it, but I just thought the first issue was a lot of setup for a cool story to
Yeah,
come. But yeah, I like what you said about the usual rules don't apply. Like if it were a post-apocalyptic zombie story, we know they're gonna like stock up on food and get guns and stuff. But I don't know. Can you do that in this story? I don't know if it's vampires. They're gonna hide during the night and travel during the day and get garlic and stuff. But yeah, it's like that. Those rules don't apply to this. It's a post-apocalyptic story, but one that has rules that I'm not familiar with.
hmm
So yeah, I mean, I'm totally. I didn't mean to sound like why. It's such a weird. It's a very very cool story. I just thought our first issue was like so simple. I was like, wow, that people are it's what we talked about before. These days, it's issue number 2 of a book
yeah.
that are where the real meat and potatoes are, because issue number one's always have to set everything up, and number 2 rolls around, then it's like, oh, here's the good stuff.
And I don't necessarily think if you're going to like, oh, someone's inflated sales of something or whatever, it's these are not the books you would pick for that.
Right.
It would be these are small creators making
Yeah.
books. There's not a whole lot of insider knowledge about how popular these are going to be.
Like how Clayman announced the Chainsaw Man homage for Absolute Batman 18 in such short notice. Well, that's just a cover, though. I mean, that's a cover of a popular character. from a popular artist, that's a little bit different. A Clayman Absolute Batman cover. It's an exclusive. You know,
Yeah, it's not available to all comic book stores.
yeah,
it is created in short supply just because it's not being sent out to hundreds of comic book stores. It's like for his
yeah.
website.
P Patron, what's up? Happy New Comic Book Day. Thanks for being here.
Um, so I do think it's interesting when a book like Dork sells so big. Now could it be like a snowball effect? Definitely. It could be,
Hmm.
oh man, this sold out. I need to go try to get a copy. And then someone goes, oh, I need to try to get a copy. And it
Right.
builds from that.
Yeah.
Now, there's a good book behind it, but that definitely could be it. Just the panic of I've got to get a copy of it. But the books that usually happens with, you can kind of tell are going to do that. It's Marvel will announce a book that has a first appearance in it. And that's where I think, they kind of try to play the numbers
Yeah.
game and everything. Indie books is much harder to do. And I know that from working in indie books and stuff that you're just happy one person ordered your book.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, it's very hard to create kind of a scarcity when you don't really know.
Yeah. I think people do tend to jump to paid shill. I can't even tell you the number of times I've been called a paid shill because I make a video about, oh, I really like this issue of Aquaman or whatever. Oh, you're a paid shill. It's like, really? How do you think that's working? Do you really think I'm getting paid to do this? I just love comic books, right? So people love to jump on the paid shield bandwagon for comic books, and come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and also the stores order as many copies as they want.
Yeah.
No one is telling them you can only order X number of copies.
Right.
So if something does get scarce, some of that is up to the marketing of the book. Maybe stores didn't hear about it. Maybe the stores are maybe not great stores and they are not ordering some indie titles. There was a time where Something's Killing the Children was like this. There was times where, Geiger sold decent for a while, and then suddenly it started picking up steam, and people were like, "Oh, now Geiger's hard to get." And it's like, well, no, because the stores got their kind of, here's our regular numbers for these things, and then that number shifted. Um, so it's hard.
Yeah, and I like that kind of growth too. I feel like it's a lot more organic. We were talking about it earlier. I feel like I love something like Dork gets hot just because it's a good book and word of the mouth gets around rather than, oh, it got optioned
Yeah,
and I have to go have it now. Every time I hear the word option, I want to break a window or something. But no, I mean, uh, good books deserve to sell out. They deserve to get multiple printings. They deserve to have good press, a good word of mouth. Grizzlebees, I tried to buy White Sky after work today. No luck. I did pre-order a cover. I did pre-order a cover run at FOC, but didn't come in yet.
uh, yeah. What was also, here's a crazy thing about White Sky. There was a C cover. There's an A, B, and a C, and they canceled the C cover.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know that.
and kind of in the last minute where we couldn't switch our order numbers over. So we tried to fill orders for people who had the C cover with the A cover, but sometimes that didn't
Yeah.
work. That was just a weird fluke thing that I don't know why that happened.
Huh.
Um, but there is just a lot of weird little things that happen.
Oh, C cover cancel. Oh, it's a Dustin Nguyen cover
Yep,
too.
was canceled. And so people who had pre-ordered that, now we don't have that.
That's weird. That's a
There is
little.
White Sky #1 second printing. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a cover yet, but
March 18th is the second print. FOC this weekend. You had said that.
yeah. But yeah, like Dork was great because we ordered a really good number of it. Brett Bean on it already is a proven commodity
Yeah.
with I Hate Fairyland. It does take stores that are very up on what is popular. Like that is the store's job, and that's the employees of a comic book store, especially people who place the orders. You have to make these guesses, and I do the ordering, and so I know like oh, I'm gonna order a good amount because one, I think this sounds cool. I think it sounds fun. It's a fantasy book. There's kind of a missing market for fantasy books
Hmm.
right now. Brett Bean is great, and
Yep.
people already know him. So it does take some market research. Sometimes, even with your numbers there, you don't know how many you need. We saw that with a lot of Absolute Batman, but it's it's a it's always kind of a crapshoot
Yeah.
when you're doing that.
Grizzleby says, I think Brett Bean's association with dungeon crawler Carl is a big reason that Dork went nuclear. Plus, it's so fun. Who? I don't know that.
So, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a novel. It's a novel series. I think there's 5 books out now.
Oh, okay.
Super popular. It's
Is that
a
a character? Dungeon
That's what
crawler
they call it. Yeah,
Carl?
his name's Carl.
Okay.
But it's a novel, but it definitely leans in towards the RPG. Like it's a little bit of an isekai without getting pulled into a game, but there's like some aliens who basically make that make the world into that. And so he's got like an inventory. He's got all that. There's going to be a Crawler Carl graphic novel and free comic book day book coming out.
Has there been a comic before, or
No,
is it just
it's
books?
it's a pretty new series, but it's really popular.
Grizzlebees, you just said soul leveling, and I'm sold. I love
Yes, it
soul
is
leveling. Oh
very
my
solo
gosh.
leveling, but with a really heavy like sense of humor in
Okay.
it.
So it's not like as dark
Yeah,
and serious as
yeah.
soul leveling. That sounds fun. I mean, I'm not a book reader, so I'm missing out on this stuff. But so is Brett Bean doing the comic or the?
I forgot exactly how Brett Bean is associated with it, but because I thought the comic was going to be a more manga style.
Okay.
Um,
Either way, sounds fun.
but I haven't looked into it too much. I just know that's going to be a very, very popular free comic book day book, and we ordered a ton of them
Good.
because that's going to bring in a lot of outside people who aren't normal. One, free comic book day does that in general. It brings
Sure.
in a lot of outside people that aren't weekly comic goers, but also hearing that, oh, hey, there's a Dungeon Crawler Carl comic is going to be huge.
Yeah, that's
I'd say that
awesome.
might be one of the biggest ones this year.
That is. I just learned something new within the
Hmm.
last couple of minutes. I've never even heard of that. I guess when our free comic book day books came in, we're going to read them all. So I guess I would have found out about it then. But no, you just introduced me to something completely new that I want to look into. Cheek says, "Do you guys think that Bleeding Hearts will take off?" It's written by Dennis Camp. I mean, he is like scorching hot right now.
Yeah.
Everything that he's doing turns to gold. Plus, it's a good book, right? I mean, like it's another one of those too where Bleeding Hearts. I thought the first issue was good, but we've already read the second issue, and it's the second issue that really sold it for me there. So again, it's like it took me 2 issues to get into it, but now that I'm into it, like I'm gonna keep reading it. Like I think this story has a lot of potential. So
Yeah, I will be more interested after issue 2 because I haven't read it yet, but everyone I know who's read it has said issue 2 is where it picks up, like
yeah,
it
it
really
is.
takes off.
Yeah,
Also, issue 2s are when people go, "Oh, there's 2 of these out now. I can grab both of them
right.
and have more of a
Yeah,
story." I'll be interested to see how that will fare at that point. I don't know if I think the art might throw some people off a little bit because it is very different.
yeah,
But I think if people give it a try, they're gonna really like it.
yeah. I think so. I mean, even though issue number two mostly follows 2 new characters, but that's where you really see the story start to form.
Hmm.
So yeah, that second issue, definitely check that out if you bought the first one. But I feel like Ahmed. Oh wait.
Talk about Wolverine.
Oh yeah, Bumpkin's a good dude. Most of his opinions I agree on. I really don't like the current Wolverine one. That's fine. That's no worries. I feel like Ahmed just rehashes the same themes. I like how, like, I know Wolverine is a depressed mess, but I feel like he hammers that down. So fair points. But I feel like these 2 or 3 issues that have come out since the Age of Revelation, he doesn't really seem like he's depressed really. He's just kind of wandering around and he
Yeah.
gets wrapped up. He's very we mentioned before, it's kind of Conan like. He just sort of wandering around and gets wrapped up in a situation. He's like, well, I guess I'm doing this for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite run of Wolverine, but I do like I like the art and also the um He's not really connected with the X-Men right now. I do appreciate, because I
Yeah.
feel like I can read that and I don't have to read every other X-Men book.
Right.
So it's not my favorite book out right now, and it's not my favorite run of Wolverine. I do think Weapons of Armageddon, which is written by Chip Zdarsky this week, was really good, and it hit on a lot of the
Yeah.
things that I do like about the current Wolverine run. Um,
Yeah, the Weapons of Armageddon book that came out today, I like it more than just the regular
yeah,
Wolverine series. Like it was really good. I liked it a lot.
yeah. I do. I also agree that, like, yeah, it feels like Wolverine is, doesn't really change too much.
Yeah.
That's just also the nature of Spider-Man right now, where he can't really grow up because
Yeah.
they keep shoving him back down and
Right.
making him poor and making him a loser.
Yeah.
That's a lot of characters, especially ones that have been around so long. They aren't really allowed to grow up or evolve as characters. And
Yeah.
that's a whole nother discussion about um, you know big licensed characters like that.
Yeah, Jay Switch says, I was hyped for Silver Sable and Alpha Flight. Don't get me wrong. Well, that's what I love Silver Sable, and we don't see her much anymore. So I was excited for that. So maybe that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I'm a little bit more high on the horse on it, because I just love Silver Sable. So it's a story with Silver Sable. Great. If
The
she
Dan
leaves,
Panosian
then
covers, I think, are the one of the best selling points of that book
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
I'll say, like, I was excited for Alpha Flight to be in it, and I haven't really liked their part in it because
Yeah.
I don't really like them played up as the bad guys.
But in this new one, half of the team was like, "Wait a second, are we the bad guys?"
Yeah,
It's that meme. Are we the bad guys?
yeah. I think you like the latest issue more than I did, but I have enjoyed it, and partially of that is just the aesthetic of Wolverine in the snow. And
Yeah,
what I
in the
did
Canadian wilderness,
what I
yeah,
did really like a couple of issues ago was where they did kind of reference that. So, Silver Sable was like, "Hey, you're really good at this. You're really good at, like, training young
yeah,
mutants."
yeah,
And it kind of harkened back to his time in Wolverine and the X-Men when he was the head of the Xavier School. And I do think referencing that is kind of like, yeah, there was a time where he was feral and he was all this, but he has, become more civilized. And as an older character now, he can train younger characters and
yeah,
kind of like help them along their way. And I do like that bits of it.
yeah. I mean, with these new mutants that he's training, like I don't want to, I'm sick of, every X-Men book. There's a bunch of new mutants introduced every single issue, but so I don't want these guys to stick around. I do want Wolverine to move on. Like okay,
Hitchhike to the next
we're
town.
done with this story arc. Let's do something else. But I would love for Silver Sable to stay around.
Yeah.
I'm much more excited about this Cyclops solo just because even though Jed McKay gets a lot of flack, you can't deny Cyclops is really fun. He's back. Oh, dude, Cyclops. I mean, Cyclops is my number 3 favorite X-Man, and the respect that he's gotten over the last couple of years, starting with Jed McKay's run, and then now with Alex Packnadell in this new, yes, like
Yeah.
continue, keep giving me the Cyclops love. Cyclops was awesome in today's issue of X-Men.
Yeah.
Yes, just keep doing that. Like whoever's writing him, just keep doing this.
Yeah, he became kind of a punching bag for a little while of like, oh, he doesn't really get it. He's this, like,
He's just like militant guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think when you lean into, like, he's a leader of the X-Men for a reason
Yeah.
because he is really good at
Yeah.
that, and he does have a lot of baggage. But I also do think he's had a lot of character development. Him and, like, Phoenix and everything. So that they are still playing off of that, I really like.
There's in today's issue of Captain America, there's a part where somebody like shoots through a window in a house he's in. So he jumps out to try to catch him, but then somebody else grabs Captain America from behind. And then when I was reading it, I remember saying out loud, "Oh, you messed up. You can't do that to Captain America." Well, Cyclops is the same way. It's
Yeah.
like, "Oh shoot, you can't."
Yeah.
If you're gonna come after Cyclops, you better bring an army.
Yeah.
And even then, who knows? You might not. So yeah, I love the Cyclops respect that we're getting right now. And that goes back to a bright spot of Marvel. Is like the current X-Men is really good, and that's in large part to how well they're treating Cyclops. Vixen up on TikTok is talking about Absolute Robin.
Which is still, like, such a, like, we don't know anything.
We don't know.
We
Yeah,
don't even know.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
We don't even know it's going to be Dick Grayson, even though
Right.
He has appeared now, what, twice
Yeah.
in Absolute Batman.
Three times, I think, but
Three,
briefly.
very
Yeah.
briefly. There's also the theory it could be Harley Quinn, that is because she has more of that role of like, hey, I'm also kind of a rebel
Yeah.
in this.
The Chuds' faces will melt if it ends up being Harley
I
Quinn.
kind of think that would be cool if it
Yeah.
was, because her current role fits that better than Dick Grayson does, because we haven't really seen much of
Yeah.
him other than he's an EMT.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, the cover for Absolute Batman number 20 was revealed, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
And
It's
it's a
it's a big,
little redacted, from
yeah.
what they say.
There's Batman kind of standing on here. He's looking at a giant, like abstract kind of R looking thing.
Almost, it looks like he's in a dark room looking out a window, and the window
Yeah.
makes the R
Yeah.
shape.
So we don't know much yet. I mean, there's still more to come. Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be Dick Grayson, Harley Quinn, or anybody else. Vixen says, "Do you have to read Age of Revelation to start the Cyclops series?" No. The Cyclops, the miniseries, has nothing to do with Age of
No.
Revelation. We thought that it was going
Yep.
to when they first announced it. We were like, "Oh, this is going to be Cyclops chasing down Doug Ramsey through the
Yeah.
wilderness or whatever." But it's not that at all. So
Mhm.
no, you actually you don't need to do that at all. It's a completely different story. As for DC, I think my current favorite book is Absolute Wonder Woman. Has that book turned? Holy, has that book turned people really weren't Wonder Woman fans into big ones? Kelly Thompson's Pen's on Fire. Yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman's great. The annual that came out last week was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Number 17 comes out next week, and that's the one where they told us on the call that Wonder Woman is about to get the absolute Batman treatment as far as big fights and violence and just ostentatious, bombastic things. That's coming next week for Absolute Wonder Woman. They literally said, "You guys have seen Absolute Batman go through a lot of violence and big over the top fights." They said, "Now it's Wonder Woman's turn."
Yeah.
So we're gonna get that next week.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, Absolute Wonder Woman maybe has a little bit more. I don't want to say Absolute Batman. It has a lot of substance, but it does feel like Absolute Wonder Woman is maybe building a little bit more cohesive of a narrative rather than like little like short stories. It feels like her character has been, going like that. Now she's referencing back in the
Oh,
annual stuff,
right,
like
yeah.
Medusa. It's a little bit more self-referential and
Yeah.
all of that. So I do think it's maybe a little bit like the threads tie a little bit more from issue 1 to here than Absolute Batman does.
Yeah.
Batman has more like crazy, like I can't believe this, or this is a shocking moment. I don't think Absolute Wonder Woman's had as many shocking moments.
Right.
But it's still
Maybe next week though.
Yeah, yeah.
Steve Sayer says, "I feel there's something huge on the horizon in both the Absolute and Energon universes. I feel we've only scratched the surface on both universes." Well, definitely yes with the Absolute universe, because Robert Kirkman has said as much.
Yeah.
We've been on calls with him
I
before.
mean the Energon universe.
What did I say?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, Energon. Yeah, he said before.
What does Kirkman know about
Yeah.
Absolute universe?
He has said before. Yeah, he has literally said we have only just scratched the surface with this.
That was only recently he said that too. It was like we're barely into this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've just like, even like these past couple of issues have only just seen like the Transformers, like Duke find out about
Yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
between that they're not all
Right.
the Cybertronians are
Yeah.
evil. And we know that like they're not all of them are at issue 25 yet.
Right.
And that's where he was like, a lot of stuff's going to happen like when they start hitting
Yeah.
issue 25s and on.
And in the letters page to the issue of G.I. Joe that came out today, it basically said, pay attention to the next couple of issues, because that's going to do a lot of lifting for some big things to come. So you are 100% correct. And I'm sure, the Absolute Universe, there's always going to be big stuff coming to that.
Because we're also very early on in that.
Yeah, but the Energon Universe, you are 100% correct that we're 2 years into this thing and we're still only just getting started. I mean, there's still so much more to come. And, there's another character in this issue this week of G.I. Joe that is setting up what may be some other big property to come at some point. So, but they also did tell us too, they said that as they're trying to tell big stories, but they're also, their intention is to keep the Energon universe pretty tight with Transformers, G.I. Joe, Void Rivals, Maybe one other thing at some point in the future, but
But you're not going to see like a slew of like 6 other titles announced.
right.
Like they want it to be kind of each thing have its lane, and
Yeah.
they can weave in between each other, but they don't want to make it inaccessible or
Yeah.
where you feel like, oh no, it's too much now.
You're also, you're not going to see like GI Joe, but then GI Joe Night Force, and then GI Joe Snake Eyes, and
Yeah,
then no, they said we want to keep it small and tight the way it is now. We just feel like we have a better handle on all that stuff.
yeah.
With Matt Fraction's Batman and Absolute Batman in the main line, so many people slept on maybe the best Batman book in years. Dark Patterns was good. Dude, all the Batman stuff right now, or most of it, yeah. Dark Patterns was great. Batman and Robin Year One. I just finished the hardcover. That's one of my new favorite stories. The mainline Matt Fraction Batman book is phenomenal. Absolute Batman is obviously great. Detective Comics, the story that Tom Taylor has been telling in that with the contagion that makes you like lose all your inhibitions about fear, like that's really good. Like, I mean, we Batman fans are eating really well right now. Any news or updates on Shadow of the Bat? Nothing yet. It is coming. We don't know when. We don't know what it's about. Who the creative team is. So yeah, more to come
I'm
on that.
wondering when we do hear about the next wave of next level things, because it's not like they're hiding it from us. We know the titles of a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
and ones that they haven't even announced yet, but have, Scott Snyder's mentioned Jonah Hex, and
Yeah,
he's mentioned stuff like that. So, like that we don't know the creative teams on some of the next ones does seem a little weird.
yeah.
Um, but we've got Firestorm that's on the horizon. It's going to be the next kind of wave of
Well,
books.
what's it? Firestorm and there was two more, right? There because there's five. What's the fifth one?
Zatanna.
Zatanna, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one, yeah. So yeah, I mean, more to come on some of these things, but like they've already got 5 new series queued up for us. 3 of them are on FOC this weekend, coming out March 18th. Firestorm and Zatanna are after that, so and that's still a month away. So
Yeah.
we're good. We're good through probably half, at least like half of April or so with new books.
And we do, I think it's kind of, we do know a bit about like the Demon, the Etrigan series. Like we kind of have an idea of the creative team on that. There's a
Yeah,
few of them too that we're getting close enough. We're like, oh, we kind of know that, but there's still stuff like
Barbara
Barkboard
Gordon.
Breakout that
Yeah,
we don't know anything. Shadow of the Bat.
Legion of
Yeah,
Superheroes.
that's one that was not on that list, but we
Yeah.
know that's coming. I think we'll hear more about that maybe after the reign of the Superboys and after DCKO wraps up.
Yeah.
I would imagine wait for some announcements once the final issue of KO comes out, because I don't think they want to divert your attention to a
Yeah.
bunch of other things until that. And we know a little bit about how DCKO ends, and there will be some things that make sense why some of these books are launching.
Yeah.
And I think they don't want to do too much until you go, oh, now I get it. Now I get
Yeah.
why we're going to be
Yeah.
getting some of these books.
Yeah, so I think we probably if there might be some announcements at Comics Pro this weekend. If not, then I would say we won't hear anything about anything else until at least DCKO is over on
Yeah.
March 4th. And then sometime after that,
We've got so DC isn't doing a big free comic book day book, like a big
yeah, bummer.
special thing. But that also maybe makes me think we're gonna hear something around there, just to kind of like a summer announcement.
Yeah.
That they could either announce the creative teams of a couple more, or announce a couple things officially,
Yeah.
like Jonah Hex or whatever it's gonna be.
But I don't want to get too greedy. It's like, okay, they've given us a bunch. We know we're getting, 5 new next level books. We know like some of the big stories coming for their existing books. So, we're good for now.
We also know that not all of them are going to be ongoing. Some are going to be
Right.
miniseries.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't even have Lobo, Batwoman, or Deathstroke yet. Let's start eating our
Yeah.
first meal before we're already
Right,
thinking of our
yeah.
next meal.
We're thinking of dessert before we've had the appetizer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cheeks has a good question. How do you guys balance being a fan and a business owner at the same time? Like, do you ever love a platform or content and want to sell it, but it's an absolute flop and impacts the business? Well, just real quick. So we don't own the business, and I don't even technically work here in a traditional sense. But
You're not even technically allowed to be within like 30 yards
yeah,
of this
right,
place,
of a
but
comic store, yeah. But it's tricky because yes, we are fans, right? Like we are true blue fans of comics. I've been reading comics for 40 years.
and I've
So
never read a comic.
you'll get there eventually one day.
I'm working on it.
But it is we do have to find that balance of reading what we want to read versus what we need to read in order to be able to give information to customers about books. And we talked before about there's plenty of books that we read that we don't necessarily like, but we're not going to sit on our Monday shows and bash it because that's not our job. Our job
Yeah.
is to relay information
And
and let
we
you
want to do
decide,
that anyways because there's plenty of books that we don't necessarily like, but people love.
Yeah.
And that's not our job to come in and say that our opinion is the
Right.
only opinion. Um,
The best example is Ultimate X-Men. I do not like that book at all. I stopped reading it months ago. You did too.
mhm.
We don't like that book, but there are a lot of people that do, and that's fine. I have no problem with people liking a book that I don't or not liking a book that I do. So I'm fine with it, but we do have to try to straddle that line of, like behind the scenes, we'll be like, oh gosh, I have to read another issue of Ultimate X-Men. But when it comes time to relay that information, we'll give you the straight information about it and let
Yeah.
you decide.
I'll, if we read something, I'm like, I didn't love this, we will look for the
Positives,
positives in
yeah,
it. The art's good, or if you like this kind of story, then you'll like that. It doesn't mean I like this kind of story. But I will never lie to you and say this is my favorite book ever. But I will give you the facts about it.
yeah,
This is the artist, this is the writer. If you like this kind of book, you'll might be like this. This is what kind of happens in the book. We
yeah,
can do all that and not bash a book because I've always said this like from someone who has worked on books, working on a bunch of different Star Wars books like I did. Like I know how hard it is to take something from nothing and get it on the shelf. I respect everyone who can get a comic on the shelf.
yeah,
That is a huge achievement because it is not easy to even get people to email you back, much less go through all of the hurdles. So I will never bash a book that somebody put time and effort into, unless it's just like outright just heinous and hateful and all that. But
the only one that we do tend to have fun with is Youngblood.
I mean,
We have a little fun with that
and
one
I
just
still
because
read it, and every time an issue comes out, I'm kind of excited to read it.
I can't wait to see just how off the wall it's gonna be, and
Yeah,
but
but
we do have a little fun with that one. But
so I do all the ordering at the store for like weekly comics. On Mondays I place our order with our distributors. And that is a thing where I can't think of just what I like. I know things I've read, and I know, I've been here long enough to know in general what our customer base likes.
yeah,
I know specifically like, oh, this person loves everything minor threats that comes out. We don't have a huge pull thing, but I know I'm going to get some of them because I know this person and a few others. So yeah, my opinions don't take a huge thing into that. I mostly just know what our clientele is interested
yeah,
in. And then if I like something, there's a chance someone else likes it too.
yeah. Yeah, so it's a balancing act for sure. I mean, we are fans, but we do have to, sometimes we have to take our comic fan hat off and put the retailer hat on and try to find that balance.
Mine has a little propeller on it. It goes,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's really cute.
Mine has like two beer cans on the side with the straw. Yeah, I appreciate your authenticity is what brings trust. Appreciate you guys in the world. Yeah, we appreciate you, Cheeks. Yeah, I mean, we'll, you know, if somebody asked me about a book that I didn't like, you know, I might, I'd probably even say I didn't really care for this, but here's what the story's
Yeah.
about. ABC. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out because that you might like it. Just because I don't doesn't mean you won't.
Yeah, if you want to know why I don't like something, I will not lie and tell you one thing or another. I'll
Yeah.
tell you like this wasn't for me, or I didn't really like the art, or I didn't really understand the book.
Yeah.
It's usually if we don't like something, it's probably because we're like, I didn't really understand what that was about.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we were on this channel, everything. We are 100% honest
Mhm.
about stuff, and just like being transparent of like we're a store, and here's kind of how stores work, and here's how we order stuff and our thinking into it. Like that's all super important to be transparent with people who spend their money with you.
Yeah. Larry wants to know if we're going to C2E2. I'm definitely not, but are you for sure?
Yeah. I hope so. I've paid for a very
Oh,
expensive
okay.
table. But yeah, I'll be there. That's end of next month. So I guess we're not gonna do videos from there. Maybe I'll like send you a video of like live on the floor
Rub it
or
in my face.
something.
No, I want to go. That weekend is my son's 18th birthday, and I probably shouldn't miss that. You know, he's my only son, so I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't say, have fun on your birthday, son. I'm going to go to a comic convention. So yeah, I won't be able to make it this year.
I told him you could bring him. I don't know how much you enjoy just like
He
sitting
wouldn't.
at a
No,
table for 12 hours,
no, he
but
wouldn't. He wouldn't have fun.
yeah, I'll be there. I'm sharing a table with Alex Ogle, who is another local artist, and you've probably seen his stuff, and he's done cover for like Amazing Spider-Man, and he's done a lot of cool stuff. We'll be sharing a table. I love being there less because I'm like I'm gonna sell a bunch of stuff. I love like meeting people, and I love talking to other creators. One of the best parts of cons like that is being in there before the doors are open to the
Oh
public, and you
yeah.
just walk around and you're like, hey, there's no line at Ryan Otley's table.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna like hang out here at like Charles Soule's table or Jenny Frizen
Yeah.
or we like was it Jeff Darrow that we just like hung out with for a little while one
I
morning?
think so. Yeah.
Where his tablecloth was
I think
stolen.
it's Yeah. I think it was Sunday morning. Yeah.
You just hang out with these people who
Yeah.
later they'll have like 2 hour wait times, but you're like,
Yeah.
I'm just kicking around. So, I'll be at C2E2. Come see me if you're going to be there. They haven't announced the table numbers yet, so I don't know where I am. Um, C2E2 last time is where we became friends with John Timms, the artist of Aquaman, who is the nicest person.
Nicest guy. Oh my
The
gosh.
happiest artist you'll
Yeah.
ever meet.
He was doing sketches or commissions. You know, there was nobody at his table. He was still grinning.
Yeah.
Like he was so fun to
just
talk
loving
to.
being there.
He was talking about how much fun he was having working with Jeremy Adams on Aquaman
Yeah.
because this was a year ago, so they were only a couple issues in at that point. But yeah, he was talking about how he was having fun with that, and oh man, he was a delight to talk to.
Yeah. Will not be at MegaCon, and I won't be at Heroes Con, and I've never gone to Heroes Con. Everyone says it's like the best con ever.
Heroes Con is the one I do want to go to, Vixen, so I'm gonna try to make that happen.
Yeah, I don't do I get weird about cons. I'll have a really good one. I'm like, I love cons, and I go to one and it's really bad. And I'm like, I'm never doing these again. So I have to kind of like build up my like, okay, I'm gonna do it because it's a lot of work and it's a lot of money and it's you're kind of sacrificing a weekend off to do something that does a lot of time feel like work.
See, that's different because you are there for work.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not a writer, artist, anything like that. So I'm there a little bit more for the social stuff, and you're there for work. So I can see.
I'm thinking about like, okay, like I've got to get my table set up. I gotta make sure I have like a good representation of my stuff. Also, while I'm here, I want to go and meet with these people that I know or I'm going to potentially work with.
Yeah.
And that's always, it's still fun though.
If you'll be at Heroes Con, I'd love to meet you. Do you do autographs? I mean, I guess so. If you really want to, if you have a spare napkin or something laying around, I don't want to mess up a comic book that you have. But yeah, I'll put my John Hancock on a napkin or something like that, or if you got a scrap piece of paper.
Did we sign something at C2E2? Did we sign something together?
I don't think I did. There were a couple people that wanted me to sign the Star Wars book that you drew me in.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like, I don't want to mess up your book with that. You don't want that.
There is people who come around and get like everybody to sign something. And I think you signed
I did do that, yeah.
I did a little sketch on it or whatever.
I did do it, yeah. I did like a Spider-Man face or something.
Yeah.
I even told the guy, I was like, I'm not an artist or anything. I'm just here to support him. And he's like, oh no, everybody needs to sign.
Yeah.
So I did sign and do a little Spider-Man face sketch. It was awful. It was the worst one. It was the worst thing on the entire. It was a big sheet or something.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. The birthday sounds like more fun. I don't know. C2E2.
It depends if you like crowds. My thing I like doing cons is I have a table that I can hide behind. And it gives me a good like 2 feet between me and other people, and it makes me feel like I have a little bit more authority. I don't like just getting put in the sea of people and I have to navigate my way around. I like having like a home base that I can go back to and I can like chill there. And again, getting in before other people is great.
Vixen still wants a bag and board signed. I don't do those anymore.
You signed the bag.
Yeah, right. I'll sign the bag with a pencil. But yeah, I mean, I'll do it for sure. I'm gonna wear a white shirt. Sign. Okay, cool. I'm gonna try to get a bunch of people to sign it. Okay, that sounds awesome. I would definitely for sure do
That
that.
is the cool thing too. I know there's people who do like they charge for signatures. Um, but if you
Mine are
come
cheap. I'll pay you.
but if you come through, like if you have somebody's book and you're like, "Can you sign my book?" They might charge you for that. If you're like, "I've got this T-shirt, will you sign this T-shirt?" A lot of times they'll do it for free because they're like, "You're not like selling this or
Yeah,
anything. It's just
yeah,
like a really easy thing to do."
yeah. $20. I'll pay you $20. I'll be, hey, can I sign your thing just to make it look like I'm important and have to sign something? Yeah. So Heroes Con, I won't be at C2E2, but I really hope that I hope I can make Heroes Con happen for sure. Thoughts on Ultimate Spider-Man 24? Christopher Thomas on TikTok asked. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. It was it was a good finale. It just kind of sucks that it's a finale.
Yeah.
I feel like we only just now finished the first big story, and now it's on to something else. But instead, it's like, oh no, that was it. That you're
It
done.
does kind of. I think the problem with it is it just kind of that took some wind out of the sails.
Yeah.
Um,
The delay didn't help
the
either. The
delay
2 month
didn't
delay.
help.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been more impactful. Yeah, we won't say any
Yeah. No
spoilers
spoilers.
about it. But it would have been more impactful if it came out on a regular basis, like right after the previous issue
Yeah.
and before Ultimate Endgame. It
Mhm.
would have felt a little bit like, you're stepping on the stepping stones in the right order.
Yeah.
Instead of this where it's like, well, I know where Spider-Man is in Ultimate Endgame, but let's go back. Take your mind back
Yeah.
a few months to when this was gonna be.
Yeah. Therion, have you ever read New God? Oh my gosh, Ron V's New Gods. Yes, we both read that every single issue. I didn't buy them as they were coming out, and I haven't bought the trades because I am hoping and praying for a nice big oversized hardcover with all 12 issues in it. Oh my
It
gosh,
feels like
we
it's a
love that.
series that really begs to be in like a very premium thing
Yes.
because it is very standalone.
Yeah.
And with the like level of art that's in it, it does feel like this is a graphic novel,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love Ron V's New Gods. I want more. I want that to be an ongoing. I want Evan Cagle on art. I think Ron V did say that he and Evan Cagle were working on something else, but I don't think it's a DC or
It
a
might be like an
superhero thing. Yeah, I
independent.
think that's what it is. He's an amazing writer. His detective run was stuff. So I would like to go back and read his detective run all the way through because I recognize how it was a big, grand, epic story, but it was wearing on me after like a year or more, so and it was starting to get hard to keep up with.
Hmm.
So I would like to go back and read it all the way through. I feel like that's the kind of story. It's like, oh, you need to like sit and just like read this all together. You'll get more out of it. Doom has entered the chat.
Yeah, someone says, any idea who's going to win Exquisite Corpses? The bunny guy.
Oh,
Uh,
don't know. We kind of dropped off of that one for a
that one
while.
I want to read as a whole because I do
Yes.
think it kind of lends itself towards
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'm interested in it, but it was getting hard to keep up with month to month as well. Kind of like even though it's not the same kind of story, but like the Nice House on the Lake was the same kind of thing where there's so many characters and it's hard to keep up with who's doing what, where they are every single month. So when that is collected, I will absolutely go back and we read through about 3/4 of it or so,
Yeah.
but yeah, we were like, we gotta hop off. Mark my words, it's gonna be the paramedic that wins Exquisite Corpses. There is one in there, yeah.
It's probably going to be a character that's not one of the main ones.
Well, if it were Marvel, yes. If Marvel were posting it, then yes, that would be the case. All right, guys. I think we're gonna call it a day here. This was super fun. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching and chatting with us, especially with our technical troubles. As you guys know, our StreamYard, we're having a little bit of trouble with it, so we are streaming old school straight to YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not able to click the comments and pop them up on screen. We don't have anything cool down here. So, but thanks for still being here with us anyway. We're gonna hopefully try to get that fixed by next stream. And we've actually talked about, and you guys can let us know what you think. We've actually talked about starting to do this weekly instead of bi-weekly, if that's something that you guys would be interested in. Or if you're like, no, that's too much. I
can't deal with you
can't
that
deal with that.
much.
Yeah, not every week. No. So we talked about doing that as well. So let us know what you think. Heck yeah, weekly comic talk. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. So yeah, we'll try to make that happen. We will try to get our StreamYard working again so that we can click the things and everybody can see all the comments and everything. But old school, it was better doing it this way than just canceling it again, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah, we
wanted
put
to
it off too much,
yeah, we
and
wanted to at least. Well, last week I was sick. I mean, you wouldn't have wanted me here last week. I was. Oh my gosh, Wednesday was. I didn't even do a comic haul video for TikTok
oh
last week. I
really?
was so out of it.
I didn't notice that you didn't do that, but
Thanks.
I know how bad you felt, and that even we were able to do the comics from the future remotely, or the Monday
The
show
Monday show
remotely.
remotely, yeah.
Um, I know you didn't feel great for that either.
That was a little rough too, but at least I was at home, not getting you sick or anything like that. But yeah, so we'll try to get some things cleaned up, and yeah, we'll be back maybe. So yeah, maybe we'll start. I don't know, next week. Maybe we'll start
Oh
with the
yeah,
weekly thing. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but we'll definitely let you know for sure. But thank you guys so much for oh my gosh, you guys both sounded bad last time. I felt so bad for you.
I was fine, thank you.
There was something going around. I don't know what you felt bad a couple days before I started feeling
Yeah,
bad, but that was only
I
in the
was sick over
weekend.
the
Yeah,
weekend,
yeah,
and yeah, I was still recovering. I still have a little bit of a cough, but
yeah. But we'll get there. We're both getting better. Like I said, just in case, I didn't want a repeat of Monday, so I brought these just in case. But didn't have to use them today.
shotgun
So
and halls.
yeah, just popping them in like Pez or something like that. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us today. Have a great rest of your new comic book day. Go read some great books because there was a bunch of really good ones out. We said earlier that we think that there was a lot of. We don't remember the last time there were this many books coming out that were all or mostly as good as they all
Yeah,
were. Usually it's a lot of books and they're about half and half, but as we were reading these over this past weekend, I was like, man, that one was really good too, and that one was really good too, and that one was really good too. So it's a really really good week for books this week.
go read Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, Captain America, Absolute Batman, Wolverine, Weapons of Armageddon, White Sky if you can get it. End of Life. We didn't talk about that at all on the show. Read End of Life, the new Vertigo book that came out today. I love that book so much, so definitely go check that out. But we're gonna head out for now. We will be back on Friday with our Comics from the Future video. It's a big FOC weekend with lots of big books, and we will cover all of them and the cover, the variants, and all that stuff on Friday. But yeah, and then I guess we'll probably see you guys live next week as well if things work out. But
Yeah,
we'll let you know more about that later. But yeah, thanks you guys. Have a great night, and I got to figure out how to end this way, but instead of through Streamyard. But we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.
bye.